Welcome back to Brain Strength. This is a series where this average fool tries to teach you a thing or two about sports psychology so that you can be the best version of you. I'm your host, RJ Lynch, with my master's in sport and exercise psychology. Let's get this thing rolling. In this episode of Brain Strength, we're going to be talking about trash talk, the verbal warfare that goes on in the game and how it's effective and whether or not it actually works.
This team is not better than us, they're not even good! Family riding! Let's go! Let's go! Faster! Faster!
Some athletes seem to thrive off of trash talk. They take pleasure in gaining the mind to their opponents. They use it as a way to get that advantage, to dig deep down into it and just tear an opponent down so that they can take the next step up. But the question often becomes, does trash talk work? Is it something that's actually effective? And to answer that question, we have to look at why it exists. What does it do? How often does it actually occur? One of the reasons why we use trash talk is we use it as a form of verbal warfare, psychological warfare. In a game, in a sport where inches, where centimeters, where tenths of a second can make the difference between losses and wins, we're trying to get every advantage we can. And for those of you who have followed Brain Strength before, you know the brain plays a giant role in that. How effective our brain is used is going to determine how much of ourselves we're going to get out of that. If we're an athlete and we're able to knock someone down a peg, get them off their game ever so slightly, that might be the only advantage we need. In addition to knocking your opponent off their game, some trash talk can be used as to hype yourself up. When you're telling that person, you're trash, you're nothing compared to me, not only are you putting them down in that, but you're also telling yourself, like, I'm good, I'm better than this person. So it's not only having a negative effect on them, but a positive influence on you. And the fact is, it's just something that athletes use a lot. Now, the exact statistics aren't perfect. I found some reports of 30%. I've seen a lot lower, a lot higher. But the main thing is it's especially used in those sports where you're combating. You're talking about your football, your ice hockey, these sports where you're really going at it and battling each other, versus other sports where it's a tennis or a track where you're really not next to your opponent or not talking to them a whole lot, aren't usually as high. But regardless of how much it's actually used and what the truth behind it is, it has three main goals. It has the goal of breaking your opponent's focus, make them emotional instead of focus on what they're supposed to do. Boost your own confidence, make you feel better, talking a big game and then showing up, making yourself believe with your words before you actually do something. And then just getting in their head before it even starts. You start planting those seeds of doubt that, yeah, you're not going to be able to win this one. You're no good. You're planting those seeds and trying to water any doubt that's already in their brain so that you can take advantage of it and get after them. Now, the next question is, why does it work? Well, to understand that, we have to think about how the brain processes things. The brain works in kind of two different ways. It has this logical part that's very much thinking like, if I do X, Y will happen. If we combine this and that, we'll get to this point. But the other side of the brain is a more emotional state. It's the more primal part that was developed centuries ago, that was kind of there before we ever even got to the point of logic. And unfortunately, because the emotional part, because of that, is so much older, that it's more ingrained in us, if we're able to get that tapped into, if we're able to draw a response out of the emotional side, it starts to cloud the logical part. It starts to overpower the newer part of the brain that's not as ingrained, not as connected to our natural state of being, to our instincts. It's not as connected to our instincts, to how we are. So when we're able to get that out of our opponent, it's going to create a cloud. It's going to create something different. Basically, what it does in three parts is it creates a cognitive distraction. Because the opponent is being forced to focus on our words, they're not able to focus as much on the game. They're trying to block us out. They're trying to ignore us. And because they're trying to ignore us, they're getting frustrated with that. So instead of thinking about, like, I got to dribble, I got to take this shot, I got to make this play, we're thinking about ignore them, ignore them, ignore them. And you just can't. You're distracted by it. In addition, if we're saying the right things, if we're pressing the right buttons, we're triggering some of that fight or flight response. We're hijacking their emotions. We're activating the amygdala, the other parts of our brain. They're like, be emotional, do things, throw a punch, yeah.
It's getting very testy down here. They're basically pushing and shoving and exchanges going on.
What happened is the opponent hijacked their emotions and got under their skin. And in addition, the other part that it does is if you're not able to get their emotions, but you're able to claw at the logical part of their brain, now we're really getting somewhere. Now we're causing self-doubt and overthinking. The athlete is second guessing what they're going to do, and they're just failing because they're focused too much on emotions or they're thinking about their self-doubt. So now we know what happens, why we do it. We know kind of the emotional, the scientific reason why it happens. Now we have to ask the question, does it work for everyone? Should you use a little bit of trash talk in your game? And here's the thing. It works for some. It can be a powerful weapon, but it's not going to be everybody's thing. Not everyone's going to respond to it. And this is both for you trying to use it and also when you're trying to use it against someone. Because here's kind of what the reactions are to when someone is trash talked. They might thrive on it. Think your Kobe Bryants, your Michael Jordans, the people that you try trash talking them, they're going to trash talk you back. And then also they're going to show you that they are better just so they can shut you up. Then you have other people that crumble under the pressure. You start talking bad on them, you stop outing them. They're just fumbling like, why is this person being so mean to me? And they crumble, they fall apart. And then there's others that are just going to ignore it. Think of a modern example of that Kawhi Leonard-esque thing where it's just like they're just blank face, they're just there, they're kind of like a machine. No matter what you say, no matter what you do, they're just kind of being them. So when you're trying to decide, should I trash talk, should I do it? You have to ask two questions. One, is it something that's going to make me feel better? Am I going to be hyped up by doing this, by breaking my opponent down? And two, if I use it, how are they going to respond? Are they someone that's going to thrive off of it and look at me like, shut up, watch me? Are they someone that's going to crumble? Or are they someone that's just going to ignore me and that's kind of like, well, at least I'm hyping myself up, but I ain't breaking their focus. And when you're trying to decide that, should I trash talk? Also understand that an athlete that is more confident in themselves is going to be less affected. If the person you're trying to trash talk is someone that has such good self-confidence, has such good self-worth, they're going to look at you like you're dumb, like, you can say whatever you want, I'm going to shut you up. So be careful there and understand that. Now, finally, one thing I want you to think about is, okay, we know about trash talk. We know why it works, why we do it. We know that it might work for some, it might not work for others. It might affect different people differently. But now you're sitting there like, okay, great. It's out of my personality, trash talk. I'm too nice of a person. But how do I defend against it? How do I protect myself so that I'm not one of those athletes that crumbles? Well, here's some ideas of how to receive, how to shut it down when it happens. First, use a little mindfulness, self-talk, things like that to ignore and stay focused will help you get to that point. So if you've done a lot of work and you're able to use your breath to shut your brain off, when people start trash talking you, take that deep breath. Right here, game, ignore. Things like that, little self-talk statements, little breaths to remind yourself that whatever they say doesn't matter to me. Those are going to put you more in that Kawhi Leonard machine standpoint. Or if you're someone that has a lot of self-worth, a lot of confidence, and you know how to use self-talk, you might use it as fuel. This is going to put you in that Michael Jordan category where you're like, and I took that personally.
If you're going to high five, talk trash, now I had a bone to pick with you. You know, I'm supposed to kill this guy. You know, I'm supposed to dominate this guy. And from that point on, I did.
And you just say to yourself, oh, they're making it personal. Watch me. I'm going to show them. I am going to ball out right now. And you're going to use that as fuel, and you're going to reframe it as, they can try to talk me down, but this is just them being not confident in themselves. They don't think they can beat me without their trash talk, and that means they are weak. So you use the statements like that, self-talk there is like, they can say whatever they want to me. That just tells me they know they're weaker than me. And then finally, the best thing you can do when you're faced with trash talk is have a planned mental response. If you're going up against an opponent that you know is going to talk trash, if you know you're going against a school that's always trying to get under your team's skin, have a response planned. Have something in your brain where you're like, if they start talking trash, this is how I'm going to respond to it. Whether it's your breath, whether it's your self-talk, whether it's imagery, whether it's something else you need, have that plan ready for it. Because at the end of the day, trash talk is just a mental battle. If you let it shake you, you lose. If you use it, you win. So let me know down in the comments if you've used trash talk before, if you like it, if you hate it, kind of what your experience was, so we could talk about it. But at the end of the day, that's all I got for you. So if I say anything today that you didn't like, I hope you can forgive me. If you say anything in the comments that I don't like, I'll forgive you. Till next time, like and subscribe. Brain Strength, out.